name is Jasmine Morabe-Cibel, and I am speaking this evening on vitamins and their role within exercise and energy metabolism. Specifically, I will focus on niacin or B3. So, we would like to discuss what the purpose of vitamins are in relation to exercise and energy metabolism. So, as this is an interactive presentation, I would like you to think about two things that you know specifically vitamins are used for within the body, or something you know about vitamins and why they are so important to our diet, especially an athlete, one who needs very tailored nutritional diet in order to meet their specific needs for their performance and competition. So generally we may focus on macronutrients when discussing exercise performance needs, but the micronutrients like the vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants are also just as vital for optimal performance. Vitamins help with many of our body processes that help keep it running smoothly. A little bit more on the jobs of vitamins. For example, our immune support, combating inflammation. Those are just a couple of the most critical things that we need vitamins for to stay healthy. Managing levels of stress, hormone levels. Those are a couple other really key things that vitamins help to keep functioning well within the body. So you start to see these really key reasons and purposes for vitamins, and then we understand why we need to carefully consider them and take a closer look at them when we are talking about athlete needs for energy metabolism, especially when we're focusing on sports performance. So, vitamins are really important for energy production. They help to specifically convert food into energy when we have them, in the proper levels within our body. So in addition to that, muscle recovery, that is a huge role that vitamins help with. So for athletes, that's really important because, they're training maybe at really higher levels and they need to be able to recover at a more efficient rate, in a more efficient manner, and have, better results with their training and quicker recovery. With that in mind, that may help in prevention of injury, keeping adequate energy levels to maintain the energy needs and demands of the sport, of whatever the athlete is that we are, trying to work with. Our spotlight tonight is on, let me pronounce this correctly, nicotinamide riboside, commonly known as vitamin B3 or niacin. In the gym, it's often known as a really good muscle pump, and so along with many of the vitamins, it is water soluble, and it is one of the 8 B complex vitamins. So let's go through some of the things that it helps with, niacin specifically. Digestion. So for an athlete, let's say, having a healthy digestion is going to be important to keep their nutrient levels flowing, to keep toxins flowing out of the body, and keep their muscles fueled properly. Digestion issues can cause a lot of discomfort, and athletes need to always be on their top game. So digestion is just one thing that niacin helps with. The skin is another thing that it does aid in keeping healthy and at an optimal level. And in addition, this next one is really important, especially if you think about an athlete and the needs of their bodies and what they require. The nervous system. Niacin helps greatly with the nervous system. So having a healthy nervous system aids in so many things that an athlete would need, as any human would need, but an especially. So, in addition to that, niacin does play another very important role, which is in hormone production within the adrenal glands. So, just keep in mind that an athlete in general needs to have optimal health. So if there's issues with hormone production in the adrenal glands, that can limit their performance just because it would in general affect their level of health. Another thing that niacin is known for is removal of toxins from the liver. So that is another really positive thing that niacin does that was really surprising for me. I did not know that. Another thing that I found really interesting because it resonates with me personally is that niacin has been used to treat migraine headaches. I suffer from migraine headaches. It's also used to treat dizziness, diarrhea, and also circulation issues. So athletes that may have any of those issues, because those are common issues, can would suffer even more if they had, a deficiency of niacin, for example. So let's move forward. B3 is created and used by the body, the human body, to convert food into energy. I put this big on the slide by itself because this is kind of the key focus of why I selected niacin. If you think about athletes' needs for their performance, it doesn't matter if we're talking about a sprinter or a gymnast, swimmer, athletes, especially collegiate or a professional athlete, their demands are so high. So if their body is not able to properly process food and convert it into energy, then they're going to be struggling on and off the field, in and out of the water, whatever it is, So that is why B3 was my focus for this presentation specifically. Let's talk about where we can get B3. So there's many foods that you can get it from. Green vegetables, beans, things like meat and fish, eggs, nuts, yeast, and even milk. You can see in the slide some bright, colorful images of different things like corn, almonds. I think there's some green peas, eggs, grains, the chicken breast. And we're going to have a little bit of an interactive game as you go through the next few slides. We're going to have options of foods, and I just want you to take a guess at which item of the two on the slide in front of you has a higher level of niacin. The following slide after the image will tell the answer, but just a little interactive activity to get you thinking and maybe just bring a little more mindfulness of this vitamin B3 into your daily life. So the first one is white or brown rice. The answer is brown rice, which contains about 5.2 milligrams of niacin per cup. Now the next slide you will see chicken breast and yellowfin tuna. Which do you think would have a higher level of niacin? And that would be the yellowfin tuna. It contains 37.5 milligrams of niacin per 6-ounce fillet. The chicken breast contains significantly less. It just has 16.1 milligrams per 6-ounce fillet. Then we have portobello mushrooms or dry roasted peanuts. What do you think? I guessed portobello mushrooms, which was the answer in this case. They have about 43 milligrams per 200 calories, as the dry roasted peanuts have only 4.9 milligrams per 200 calories. So quite a huge range. But all of these foods and these different images are foods that do contain niacin, whether it's a little bit or a lot. So it is a source of niacin regardless of the amount. Here is our last one. We've got sweet potatoes or green peas. Which do you think has more niacin? The answer would be green peas. They have 3.2 milligrams per cup, tiny little amount, and sweet potatoes have about 2.4 milligrams per cup. So, just to bring a little bit of research into the mix here, a couple studies on niacin to make it a little relevant to more than just athletes. So for example, stroke patients could maybe relate to niacin as a treatment or use of prevention. For example, there was a study with rats that had ischemic stroke and they were treated with niacin, and some of them actually grew new blood vessels, according to researchers at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, Michigan. Another study from 2000, which is in a journal called Stroke, discussed how niacin may have the potential to repair damage to the brain that has been caused by stroke. And then finally, cancer patients. Another study concluded that niacin has reduced non-melanoma skin cancer occurrences within individuals who had previously had some type of a basal cell carcinoma or squamous cell carcinoma. Real quick, just before we wrap it up, B3 and cholesterol. Mayo Clinic has concluded in past studies that niacin has the potential to increase the good cholesterol, HDL, in our bodies, which is really important for health in general. So just wanted to add that in there because that's valuable. And then real quick on the deficiency of B3. It is kind of rare to have niacin deficiency, but people who suffer with alcoholism are commonly found to have that deficiency. Symptoms would include canker sores, vomiting, indigestion, poor circulation, and fatigue. This would limit performance for athletes greatly, as you can guess. So, for example, decreased appetite, which would then correlate to maybe lower energy and poor performance, disorientation, muscle weakness or fatigue, and like we said, like I mentioned, low energy. And then the RDA varies with gender, health, and even the reproductive status of an individual, but in general it ranges from about 14 to 16 milligrams each day for niacin. And on that final page you will see my references, and thank you so much for tuning in to my presentation on niacin, and